So our next guest is Jason Powell. He is actually a firefighter by day. I don't know if it's by day and night, but he's a firefighter in New York, and he's written a book called No Man's Ghost. And I want to find out how he went from being a firefighter to a novelist. He did mention it in the information that he submitted, but that's not a usual transition from the we I don't have we ever had a firefighter on the show. I think the only firefighter we ever had was his book was about firefighters. So it was more his history book, and it was he was based in like Chicago or something like that. So anyway, Jason Powell, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm great. And do you have a copy of your book handy?
I do. I want to apologize first. I'm in a hotel room because I am doing hazmat training in Pueblo, Colorado.
Oh, okay. Well, no
Yeah.
problem. But people, we have all kinds of backgrounds and backdrops. Well, some of them are not real. I have a green screen, so this is not. The room I'm in, you can't see. So anyway,
I'm just angled so that you don't see the bed.
yeah, no, well, no, we can't see the bed, and no problem at all. We have people. Sometimes they're joining us from overseas, and there's times an 8 hour time difference or more than that. We've had somebody join the show from far away as Iraq.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I don't know what the time difference is from there.
Neither
So,
do I.
so anyway, no problems. So, No Man's Ghost is about. Tell us what it's about.
Uh, there's a saying in the fire service that says, let no man's ghost return to say my training let me down.
Okay.
So No Man's Ghost is about a probationary firefighter during his first week in the firehouse. At the same time, his firehouse is experiencing chronic false alarm calls for fire. Um, and then it eventually, the guy making the phone calls eventually decides to that false alarms aren't good enough. It's sort of a reverse Boy Who Cried Wolf situation.
Okay.
The guy who's making the calls is trying to get back at his ex-wife or his soon-to-be ex-wife for kicking him out of their apartment. So he calls the fire department every night at 3 o'clock, claiming that there's a fire in her apartment so that they can go and wake her up and knock on the door to make sure she's okay. It's a petty thing, and then he decides that it's not enough, and he sets the fire. Him setting a fire is not spoiler alert. That's not the that's not the climax of the story.
Okay. Well, some people, when they have failed relationships, instead of just letting the relationship go, they have to accelerate things and do all kinds of crazy stuff. And it makes good fodder for a novel.
I think so. So there's a lot of tropes I was trying to avoid. You follow the main character's name is Charles. He's a probationary firefighter. So you'll learn a bunch about the fire department, but it's not supposed to be like a fire department propaganda book. It's not a pro firefighter book.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it is sort of a coming of age story. Um, but I wanted to try to that's a bit of a used trope. I wanted to try to write that type of story without it being typical. And I felt like having him learn the ropes in the fire department while battling his lack of confidence is a good way of doing that when all he has to do in this book is his job. But it's a big thing for him. And by the time he gets to the point where he has to do his job, I hope that the readers are rooting for him.
Okay, now so you decided to write what you know, which is for your first novel, which I'm assuming this is your first. Is this your first published work or your first book?
It is my first published novel. I've had 14 short stories published.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right. So this is now totally new.
No,
Okay. But go ahead. You were gonna say something.
I took a master class from Lee Child, and he said something that I heard first Walter Mosley say at Thriller Fest that he doesn't like Walter Mosley said he doesn't know that he agrees with the term write what you know. He thinks it's write what you're passionate about, right? Because if I did a good job writing the female characters in my book, it's not that I know what it's like to be a woman, or maybe even that I know a woman is just actually I'm not going to continue that because now it sounds like I'm saying I'm passionate about women. But what his point was is if you know enough about it, or if you care enough about it, then you can write about it well. And I was surprised by the fire department. It's not what I expected it to be when I got in, and it's a lot better than I expected it to be. And I kind of wanted to write that in this story, and I love thrillers, so I wanted to find a way of writing that into a thriller.
Okay. So how long have you been a firefighter?
December made 10 years.
Oh, okay. That's a solid amount of time.
Yes,
That
ma'am. It's
that
like 10
means
and a half.
commitment to it. And so, as a firefighter, what's your typical day like? Or do you have, or is there a typical day?
Firefighters might be annoyed if I said that there was a typical day, but there's a typical day. So I work 24-hour shifts. So if my shift
Okay.
is starting at 9 a.m., it'll either start in the morning at 9 a.m. or it'll start at 6 p.m. So I'll either do 9 to 9 or I'll do 6 to 6. If I start at 9, we all eat breakfast together. Everybody who's coming in for the day will bring something to make for breakfast. And we'll eat breakfast together. Then we'll clean the dishes. Then we'll go over all the tools in the truck, make sure everything is in and the way it's supposed to be, where it's supposed to be, and in shape. Then we'll clean the house from the day before because the people who worked the night before, if they had an opportunity, they took a nap or they slept. There's never
Hmm.
an opportunity to get a good night's sleep, but they're in bed, so we'll change the sheets, we'll wash the sheets, we'll clean the bathrooms, we'll clean the kitchen, and then we'll do a drill for the day. We'll train on something. Usually the most senior person will decide what it is. We'll train on something, then we'll eat lunch together, and then everybody sort of goes their own way and does their own thing. That for me is my time to write, um, which is a very nice situation. It's never, it's seldom slow enough that we have like hours of uninterrupted time, but between, let's say, 2 o'clock and the end of the day, the day tour, which is 6 p.m., everybody's doing their own thing. And then people who are coming in for the 6 p.m. shift will come in and relieve and we'll do it all over again.
Oh, okay. I heard about the 24-hour shifts on movies and shows, but I didn't know that that was a thing. I didn't know that that was the system.
It's a good system. Like it's called a firehouse because it has everything that a home has. We have a laundry room, we have showers, we have TVs, we have couches, we have a stove, we have a grill, um, we have a gym. We can survive in the firehouse for 24 hours. And then the city only schedules us 48 hours a week. So that means I'm only doing technically 2 days and I have 5 days off.
Oh,
Which,
okay.
yeah,
Is that
which
that's considered full time?
that's full time, yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, anytime that you work out of those 48 hours, it's overtime. So you're
Okay.
either gonna have a nice check or you're gonna have a nice week with days off.
Okay. So firefighting is somewhat dangerous job. Somewhat.
Somewhat, yes. It is a dangerous job. I don't want to minimize it. Um, Very often people will say to me, "You really want to run into burning buildings?" And I'll tell them that that's my job, and they'll say, "Oh, I would never do that, or I could never do that." And they probably could not, but I couldn't either before I went through the academy and I was trained how to do it. Me running into a fire is not the same as you running into a fire. And it's not for anything other than the fact that I was trained to do it. Do you know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I can't get out of the academy and into a firehouse unless I'm qualified to do it. So yes, it's a dangerous job, but the academy is 4.5 months of teaching you how to mitigate dangerous situations and avoid them being as bad as they could be.
Okay. So in a typical day or shift or whatever, um, how many fires do you all go to?
So let me say this.
A lot.
No, so Last year in 2025, my firehouse did 4,217 runs altogether. We're a specialty unit, so we're a hazmat house. So my particular firehouse is New York City's Ebola response unit. All that means is if there is a biological outbreak or biological attack, we would be responding. God forbid that ever happens, but that's what we're trained for. But as a regular engine, we did 4,217 runs for the year. 104 of them were fires.
Oh, okay.
So so most of the times, so to answer your question, I don't know that I've gone to a legit fire, and by legit fire I mean fire in a structural building, like fire in an apartment building or in a commercial building. I've gone to car fires. There have been brush fires,
Okay.
or rubbish fires, but as far as the structural fire, I don't know that I've gone to one in 2026.
Oh, well, in a way, that's good.
Yeah, it
In terms
is.
of, because in New York, you're in New York City,
I
correct?
am now. Yes, ma'am.
So yeah, people are close together.
Right.
So
So the number one I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, no, no. Go ahead.
The uh the number one cause of residential fires right now in New York City is lithium ion batteries. So like people will charge the batteries for their scooters, the e-scooters.
Mm-hmm.
Those should not be charged in residential homes. And people don't know that, or people don't care and they charge it there and it sparks out and it causes fires. So fires are increasing. Um, but aside from that, the typical causes of fire is smoking, bad outlets, or cooking. Those have we do a pretty good job educating people on that. So those have gone down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the lithium battery issue would be it's a very urban problem.
Yes.
And I don't even know if we even have, I'm in Houston. I don't even know if we have those. I see people on scooters, but they're like in the neighborhood, like kids will be on. Is
Right.
that the same kind? Is that the same kind? Or is it
No, no. The
a
ones,
level up? The ones
yeah,
that I've seen on TV that they have in New York where they rent them.
yes, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those are a higher level of
Right.
scooter.
Those are they have electronic batteries.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's electronic battery. Um, and I've seen that in an episode of some show I saw where where that was a cause of a fire. Um,
Not a firefighter show, was it?
no,
Okay, good.
I don't watch. You know what? I don't watch the fire show,
Neither do
and
I.
because I'm like, I don't want to see people being burned up. That's not. I watch Chicago Med and I watch Chicago PD, but I don't watch Chicago Fire because I don't want to see people burn up. And that's probably why I don't watch 911, any of the 911s.
Yeah.
But
I don't watch
I
Chicago Fire either.
yeah, well, it's probably too close to home for you.
No, it's because
Is it
I
not
write fiction.
realistic?
It's not realistic. And I write
Okay.
fiction about firefighting. I don't want to be influenced.
Well, I don't know if that necessary. I think you'd be more influenced by just what you witness in person.
Yes. Yep. That's
Okay.
what I want.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yes, ma'am.
So, who's your main character in your book?
His name is Charles Davids.
Okay. And this is the guy who's trying to get back at his girlfriend or his ex or whatever.
No, no, no. Charles Davids is a probationary firefighter.
Okay, so who the person trying to get back at the ex is a different character in the book.
Yes, he's the antagonist. He's the bad guy.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. I don't want to mix up. Charles is not the okay, not the bad
Yes.
guy. Okay, so but that's a creative. I would never think that somebody would be childish enough to do something like that. But there's some pretty childish people. people, so
There
there are
are.
people who do just really uh, things to get attention. I feel like people need more attention, and you hate to blame everything on social media, but the attention seeking behavior has increased
So
in
I'll
my
tell you. I'll tell you something. Um, in 2019, we got a call. Two things. In 2019, every night between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. from November 2019 to February 2020, we got a call from one of the pull boxes in New York City. Where they have pull boxes in the street where you could call for the police or fire department. No
Mm-hmm.
one uses them anymore because everyone has cell phones. The only people who use them are like, or the only time they get used is when a child sees them, a kid, and they push the button. But this guy was doing it every night because he wanted to. He was claiming that he was sick, so we would come because firefighters. There are more firehouses than there are ambulances, so we firefighters go to EMS calls. So we would go and we would just keep him company until the ambulance came to take him to the hospital because he wanted to. He knew that if he claimed to be sick at that time, he'd be brought to the hospital. He can stay overnight and get a free meal in the morning every night. He wasn't homeless. He was just drunk and annoying.
Oh,
Um, so the repetitive call idea came from him. The other thing was there was a woman, and if I'm making her sound bad, that's not my intent. She was a concerned mother. I think she might have been overreacting, but she lived in Houston actually, or she didn't live in Houston, but she was working in Houston, or she was in Houston for whatever reason, and her 16-year-old daughter was at home, and whenever she called her daughter and the daughter didn't pick up, I don't know how many times she called the daughter, but whenever she felt like her daughter wasn't picking up, she would call the fire department and say that there was an emergency at her house so we can go and check on her daughter. She wouldn't tell us that the reason was go and check on her daughter. She would just say
right.
there was an emergency and then we would go. And her daughter was annoyed. She was like, there's nothing wrong. This is my mom. And then she would call her mother on speakerphone and yell at her. We can't not go if somebody calls us, even if we know that it's a false alarm or even if we know that it's
Oh,
fake. So that's sort of how the idea came about.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like I said, people do all kinds of things. They they do things that and hi Rhonda, my co-host was able to join us. But people do things that I would never dream of thinking about. I just because I one it's taking time away from real emergencies.
100%.
You know, and if you
What
got a
happened to
teenager
that
that
mother? It is an emergency.
yeah, but if your teenager won't pick up, you need to take that phone. I bet you take that phone. See, you have to be tough with the
So the
take
first
the
time,
phone and keep it for about 3 days, and she'll learn some lessons. That's what you have. But a lot of parents aren't willing to do that. They're scared of their kids, and I just think that's a tragedy. But especially if you're paying for the phone, which is most likely the case.
yeah,
Okay, you better pick up when I call. That's it, period. But you have
the first time she called, it wasn't annoying. The second time, it seemed like a bit excessive, and then it was like I think it was a total of 5 times that happened.
okay,
Also,
yeah.
because she can call the police. That's what the police are for.
Well, don't you get into, isn't
That's a
that like
wellness check.
a false reporting
No,
in
no, no.
that
I mean, she can
the
do a
law?
wellness check. She can call the police and do a wellness check.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. 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 Well, it's a good fodder for some,
exactly.
Firehouse Chronicles. Different stories about what happens with a firefighter. So you probably have a rich treasure trove of situations that you can fictionalize.
I'm
Uh,
actually, yeah, I'm actually working on book three with those same characters.
oh, okay. All right.
Well,
Now,
with the main character, not the antagonist.
right. Okay. So the main character is going to be a continuing character.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now I have a question about firehouse houses. I wondered. This is something else I saw on the TV. Do people leave their babies there? Is that something that people do if they don't want like unwanted babies can be left
It's
at a firehouse? Is that
so people can do it. Yes, it doesn't happen often. What happens mostly is people leaving their dogs.
their dogs? Oh,
Yeah.
Hmm.
People will buy dogs and not realize how much a responsibility it is, and so they'll just leave it at the firehouse. But we are mandated reporters, and we are I forgot the term used for it, but Yes, people can drop off babies to firehouses or police stations.
Okay. And I didn't know people could leave the dog. You all can accept dogs?
Yeah,
Or
all we do is just call the
yeah.
ASPCA.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I guess probably in New York too. Um, you don't have the space. Dogs need space. Then you have to walk them all the time.
Yeah, that was the thing. In 2020, everybody got a dog. And then
During
when
during
the
COVID.
right, and then when the lockdown ended, they were able to fly again and they didn't have anyone watch the dogs. So firehouses got a lot of dogs.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, were you one of those kids that, uh, as a kid, you wanted to be a firefighter?
No,
The people asked you what you wanted to do when you wanted to be when you grew up, and so what did you originally want to be when you grew up?
a writer.
Oh, okay. So, hey, and hey, it took a minute. It took being a firefighter, and then then you have a treasure trove of
How did you
stories.
have to veer off to firefighting?
So in 2013, the first allowed documentary on 9/11 was aired. A lot of people were trying to make documentaries, but they weren't allowed to, or they weren't approved. So the first approved documentary was aired in 2013, and it wasn't so much about what happened; it was about the 911 dispatchers and how a lot of them were experiencing post-traumatic stress afterwards because they were telling people that they were going to be okay when they expected that those people would die, and they were
Okay.
staying on the phone with them until they died. Uh,
Mm.
and so it was hard for them. And
Yeah.
in that documentary, they played a audio of um, one of the captains. He was from Engine 10, which is one of the closest firehouses to the Trade Center. Because the radios weren't working, he used a landline and called the 911 dispatcher. And he said, "We're on the 52nd floor. Everyone below us is out. We're going up." And that was the last transmission from him. And him and all of his men died. And at the time when I saw that, I was working at 9 West, a women's shoe store, and it felt like I wasn't doing anything with my life. Like in my head, I was thinking those guys had to have suspected that they were going to die, and they kept going up to make ways for other people to get out. And I was thinking it was the first time it ever occurred to me what a firefighter's job is, and that they're not actually working unless somebody calls for help, right? Like I'll
Mhm.
just spend all my time in the firehouse until somebody calls for help. So if you ask a firefighter what their job is, it's to help people and to take nothing away from people who work in shoe stores. That it's a necessity. But it felt like I wasn't doing enough in my life. Um, and so I looked into applying. The New York City Fire Department only opens for hiring every 4 years. So I was in between. So I just started studying so that when the time came, I could do well on the test.
That's
Hmm.
beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 9/11, especially for people who lived in New York, it really led people to do some things. I mean, it really made your mortality just like in your face. Um,
It was a weird time.
I'm sure
Uh,
it was shocking for even people who were not living in New York, but the whole nation was shocked. And I tell people who weren't alive, like weren't born yet, or just not old enough to remember 9/11, it's not something that you can really adequately describe to anybody
no.
because you had to have lived through it
Well,
to
So
understand it.
yeah, so this year's the 25th anniversary of 9/11.
Hmm.
And so the fire department is doing a big thing. I did a career day earlier this month at a high school. And it was first of all, it made me feel old, but it was such a shock to my system that no one in high school was alive for 9/11.
Right.
yeah.
And for them, I wasn't a firefighter during 9/11, but I'm a firefighter talking about why the 9/11 is important to firefighters. And they weren't disrespectful, but it didn't mean anything to them. It was just something that happened in history books, you know?
Right. Right.
A-
Right.
And it
Right.
was it was it was a surprise.
Yeah. My daughter was 6 on 9/11. And the only thing she really remembers is we had to pick her up from school because the thing in other places, like Houston, we have a lot of tall buildings, and there were all kinds of rumors that any of the major cities with tall
Yeah.
buildings could be hit. And so parents had to pick their kids up from school. So that's all she remembers about it, that she, got picked up from school.
Did she
She
remember being scared, or
thirty.
did she
No,
remember
not
being
at
scared?
all. Not at all. She'll be 30 next month.
Yeah,
And no, she doesn't remember anything about it. I think you had to be at least a teenager
right.
to really because it was a shock, a numbing thing to the whole country. I mean, everything, it was just a shock.
I was
And
working in it was my first job. I was working in an insurance company. I just finished graduating high school, and I was working in an insurance company, and they had 1010 winds on. And when the first plane hit, I'm sorry, 1010 winds is a radio station in New York City, it's all news station.
oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And when the first plane hit, it was being reported as like a private plane, and that it was an accident. And they weren't making light of it, but it seemed like they were implying, how did they miss that big tower? Like, how did they not see it? And then everyone in the office was sort of joking about it.
Mm,
And it sounds callous, but it wasn't meant like that. Obviously, there were probably two people died, but we weren't thinking about that. We were just thinking, how did that happen? And
mm,
the radio was on, and we heard them say, "Okay, hang on." They cut somebody off who was a witness, and they said, "Hang on, it looks like another plane just hit," and then the whole office stopped. That's what I remember. It felt
mm.
uncomfortable to me to hear silence in the office,
Yeah.
and that was creepy for me.
But
Yeah, it's
going back to what you were talking about earlier, because I was a soldier during that time. I was
Oh,
in
thank you.
thank you. Because people thank us all the time for our service. And I think
As well.
sometimes people forget to thank you all were the first responders. Even before we were.
Yeah, and
Um,
I admire the guys who were on.
I'm sorry.
I admire the guys who were on the job at that time.
Right, right. But I listened to your story that you were actually inspired to be a firefighter because of 9/11. And I think sometimes people don't really appreciate those stories like, oh, yeah, right. Everybody says that they were inspired to join the army or they were inspired to be a firefighter. But when you actually hear those stories and you hear that a person was inspired to join the army, and there were people who were inspired to join the army and do their part because
Right.
they were angry. You were inspired to be a firefighter because of what you saw the firefighters doing at that time.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I think it's a little bit different. People wanted to join us because they were angry. They wanted to get some get back, but then but many of them joined and they saw, wait a minute, everybody's not like what we thought they were.
Right.
They actually saw a little bit of a difference with when they went to Afghanistan and saw and actually met actual Afghans.
My sister is a Marine. She's in Camp Lejeune right now.
mm,
I New York City, I'm sure you guys know this, but New York City has had a rough relationship with law enforcement.
Yes.
Um,
mhm.
and the country has with law enforcement with people of color. Um, and I'm not but my I have a sister who works for the FBI. She's worked for the FBI for 8 years, I think. Um, and then my sister, who's a Marine, has been a Marines for 19 years. And so I'm not biased against about law enforcement or the armed forces because of them. But for me, to your point, I didn't feel anger at 9/11 um, when I saw it. What happened? My reaction wasn't, how could anybody do this to people? My reaction was, what were the people who were in the towers thinking? Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it when something like this happened, it's a global impact, right? So the whole country is thinking how the country was affected. Those people's families are only thinking about them
Right.
and not work and not knowing whether or not they're going to ever see their loved ones again. And for me, it just felt like I would love to be able to help people out of trouble like that. Um, Law enforcement and our vets, you guys are necessary. I don't know that I'm brave enough to do that, right? Like you have to enforce the rules of the land and rules of the law. For me, that's not my intent. That's not the way I want to help. And not because I think there's anything wrong with it, just because I feel like that's not where my mind goes. I I love my job. I love that there are so many things. For me, like I said, we don't go to very many fires, but so it's so rewarding to go to someone who called because they thought that what they were experiencing was an emergency, and we put them at ease. Walking away and seeing them smiling when they were panicked when we first got there, that's a great feeling.
Okay. So what you're saying is that you get a different reaction from people as a firefighter
100%.
than a police officer does.
Yes.
And do you all carry weapons?
Firefighters, no.
Mm. I didn't think so, but I just wanted to ask. So yeah, a firefighters, your whole job is to help people.
That's it.
Hmm.
Yeah, we're not
And
enforcing any laws or anything like that.
right, right. Well, you have to be a certain kind of person to want to do that every day, help people.
It's
It's
a
just
great
like
feeling.
people who are in healthcare, people who are nurses.
100%.
I mean, I've only been in the hospital once, and my daughter was recently in the hospital having lost a baby. Both times when I had, and the only time I was in the hospital was when I had her. So to give birth to my daughter, and I had a C-section, so I was in there for 3 days. And my daughter, baby died, and she had a stillbirth. So the nurses are incredible.
100%.
I,
I have been to the hospital a lot, and I am always very impressed. It's underappreciated.
it
I
is.
think it's a
And you
thankless
have to be
job.
a certain kind of person to do
Yes,
that. It's not, uh, I didn't get any people when I was in the hospital or when my daughter was, where I felt like they were fronting, they were pretending.
never.
They were genuinely concerned. I mean, because the things they were doing, it showed that they were. And that
Yes,
takes a certain kind of personality.
yeah,
And not
100%.
all of us have that. And um, I initially went to college for nursing. And my first when I went into when I had to go into the hospital and touch a stranger for the first time, I said, this is not for me. It's not for everybody.
No, no,
So it's a personality thing. You have to have a empathetic spirit, and it's just a lot of things. And
yeah.
and you I credit to you and other firefighters because the things that you all do, really, you all save lives on a regular basis.
We try to. I gotta say, so I've been on the job for 10 years. I don't know the number, but I've done CPR at least 500 times.
Oh, wow.
We've only been successful in bringing someone back 5 times in my career.
Wow.
Oh,
Um, and that is a hard thing to experience when you're in it.
I'm sure it
Um,
is.
but man, to be successful is an amazing feeling.
I bet. Well, we're actually a little bit over our time.
I'm sorry.
This has been an amazing conversation just about
Yeah.
firefighting and just picking a career and the way things impact us in our lives. Show your book cover one more time, and it's about a firefighter is his main character.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
No Man's Ghost.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you, Jason
Thank you
Powell.
guys for having me.
Oh,
Thank
you're
you for being
welcome.
here.
I
And we did
appreciate
put your I did put your link in a chat. So I
I
hope
appreciate
people
it.
will
Appreciate
click
it.
the link and will purchase your book.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for yours. Thank you.
Have a good
All
night,
right.
guys.
Have a great night.
Bye.